Hello, welcome. I'm Sandra Wallace, the anxiety coach, and I wanted to just talk a little bit today on the acronym in which I teach called ASO, and it stands for anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. So if we get started with the definition of anxiety, it's this uneasy, excessive apprehension, worry that something is going to happen that is catastrophic or that is going to result in a negative outcome for both the person and or their family or their environment. There's many various things that people worry about when it comes to anxiety. And the key word to remember is it's excessive. People do not want to have this worry, but they can't control it. And they feel that there's this impending doom that's going to take place. So this often leads, because of the fears and the thoughts in the person's mind, it often leads them to what we call avoidance behavior, meaning that they avoid certain places, people, situations, events. And so their world over time can become smaller and smaller because of their fears. Now, that's the anxiety piece. There's also the stress, which when we talk about stress, it's both the emotional and physical perspective coming from the individual. So what I mean by that is we feel that the stress is beyond our ability to cope adequately with environmental demands. It could be in the way of work, family, relationships, just everyday activities. Stressful, being able to carry out what we call ADLs, activities of daily living, that most of us take for granted. For some people, it takes a lot of energy and mental power to be able to follow through with those things. Now, when we're under stress, it can show up both emotionally and physically. So what I mean by physical components is often when I'm working with clients, I'll see that their physical symptoms in which they share with me when I ask during our assessment piece is, what are some of the physical ailments, how stress has impacted you? And often it will show up in the way of headaches, stress over the shoulders and into the neck. People will complain of irritability, mood swings, going up and down, their mood fluctuates, poor sleeping, they'll have insomnia, bad dreams, their appetite might be impacted, their relationships. It can just encompass so many different aspects when it comes to physical and emotional. So there's usually those two components when it comes to stress. Now the last one is overwhelm. So what is the difference between stress and overwhelm? Well, overwhelm is kind of like looking at it like the next layer, like peeling back an onion. You've got anxiety on the outside layer, then that leads to stress on the next layer, and then the third layer is called overwhelm. And when we talk about overwhelm, it's a deeper layer of intensity in which the person cannot cognitively function anymore, and they feel that both the circumstances and the cognition required to be able to fulfill their activities or their obligations is just too much. And people will start to shut down. And it's interesting, once we tell the brain that we are overwhelmed, then the brain's coping mechanism and protective mechanism is to shut down. So we can no longer function, we can't think rationally, and it just gets to that high level. So what I teach people on my one-to-one sessions is to be able to identify all three of those components and be able to integrate coping techniques so that it doesn't get to the stage of overwhelm. So that's just a quick little insight into ASO. For further information, visit our website at www.theocdcoach.com, and we're there for you to answer any questions you may have further regarding these three very important pieces to living a well and healthy life. So I will meet you there.